ball game is over. It's on its way toward the wall. Unbelievable base running. Did he get it? Did he get it? Oh my goodness! Save! No way! They're going crazy! Can you believe it?
It's MLB Tonight, Safe at Home Edition, presented by Camping World. Alongside Harold Reynolds and Dan Plesac, I'm Robert Flores. We're coming to you via our NTT home cams. And gentlemen, it appears that we're going to be, for at least another month, practicing social distancing. But so that's definitely in our near future for the next month or so. How are you guys holding up? Harold, start with you.
Doing well, actually. You know what? It's been fun spending time at home, becoming a full-time or part-time teacher, I should say, with 3 youngsters at home, making sure they're getting through their schooling. Outside of that, it's probably the longest period of time I've been home for this stretch with just the family. So it's been kind of nice. Dan, what about you? You single man over there hanging out and talking.
Yeah, a couple of things, Harold. I've done a lot more reading than I've ever done, and I gave myself a haircut the other day. Had the clippers out, and my mom kind of walked me through it, so I did a little trim up with the clippers, started behind in case I messed the salad up in the front, but my first haircut, you know what? I would give it 2 thumbs up for right now. And Louis Gonzalez told me on opening day I had an awful haircut on opening day in 2000 with the Diamondbacks. And Louis Gonzalez asked me, he said, dude, did you pay for that thing? And I said, yeah. He goes, you know the difference between a good haircut and a bad one? And I said, no. He said, about 3 weeks it'll grow out. So in a couple of weeks it'll all grow back out.
Well, Dan, I must say you did a very good job, and you have quite a bit of guts to take that step on your own. So job well done. Well, in these uncertain times and frankly surreal times, the players and owners have come together to handle some of the issues that are expected to come out of this coronavirus epidemic. And a agreement has been reached between the owners and the players pertaining to the 2020 season. Let's give you some of the bullet points. Service time has been adjusted. Player salary considerations also addressed. There are changes to the 2020 and 2021 draft, and there is a roster freeze. So, for instance, there cannot be any trades during this time. Bring in our insider, Ken Rosenthal. And Ken, I want to start with the financial aspect and all the issues that kind of dovetail out of that or grow from that. Start with the financials. What do we need to know?
Let's start with service time, Robert, because this was the thing that the players were most concerned about. And what's service time? It's the amount of days a player accrues while either active or on the injured list, and that leads him to salary arbitration and ultimately free agency. So here's what we have: 2 distinctions. In a shortened season, players on the active roster or the injured list for the entire season, no matter what the length, 80 games, 100, 120, those players will get full service time. If the season is canceled, and they had to account for this contingency, a player's 2020 service time would be the same as his 2019 service time. So the number of days a player had last season would carry over and become the days that he has credited for 2020. That means the guys you saw at the bottom there, Mookie Betts, JT Realmuto, George Springer, they will become free agents virtually no matter what. Now, what about salary? Different area, and an area in which the players couldn't push the way they did with service time, in part because the commissioner, Rob Manfred, had the right in a national emergency, which has been declared by President Trump, to withhold salary. So what did the players and owners agree to? A lump sum advance of $170 million that will be divided up among the 1,240-man roster players over the next 2 months. Prorated salaries for a shortened season. So if a player is active for, say, an 80-game season, that's what it is, an 81-game season. Let's use that. He's a $10 million player. He gets $5 million instead. Half the games, half the salary, and no additional salary for a canceled season. So if the season is canceled, all the players can get is that $170 million that they would divide, and they relinquished their right to sue for all their salary in a canceled season. Frankly, they would not have had much of a case if that is indeed what transpires here. If the season is canceled, the economy is going to be in big trouble, baseball is going to be in big trouble, and suing for your back pay would have been a horrible look for the players.
And Ken, what about the draft? What do we need to know there?
The draft was something of a casualty here. Now, there was talk initially that the draft would perhaps be canceled in 2020, and then a combined draft would have taken place in 21 with the two classes, 20 and 21. But in lieu of that, what they agreed upon was a 2020 draft, but with the owners having the option to shorten it to 5 rounds. Now, the draft normally is 40 rounds, so we're talking about a ton of players who would not be drafted if indeed it is shortened. Signing bonus values. They'll match the 2019 levels for 2020 and 21. No growth. Normally you see about a 3% increase, but next year they wouldn't have seen that increase due to the lack of games played. And also bonuses will be deferred. Now, why did the players agree to this? In their view, even though the outcome is not great, it's a better outcome than a canceled draft. And that is what the owners were proposing, because the owners felt with no revenue coming in, they might need that money, the 400, 500 million, whatever the number is, to pay the employees that currently are working right now, but have no really place to go.
And Ken, this is a difficult question, but it's a simple one. But maybe it's not that simple, actually. What is next? What happens now?
Well, right now, they're just going to wait, the players and the owners, and see when exactly they will be able to play again. And this is the big question. What will the season look like if there is a season? There are a number of ideas in play, a number of things they will discuss. One will be, of course, the possibility of extending the season into October. That is part of the agreement, that they can use those 31 dates in October as part of the regular season. The postseason, it might not look like it normally looks. It might be expanded, and it also might be played at neutral sites, assuming we go into November. And then scheduled doubleheaders are likely, whether they're single admission, 2 admissions, 7-inning games, 9-inning games. We don't know any of this yet. These are all the things that need to be hammered out in time as the two sides get closer to getting back to work. And yes, the players do hold final approval on scheduling. All these things, Robert, are to come. But this initial agreement, the one that set the financial terms, figured out the draft, that was the one that had to be in place before the sport could go further.
All right, that's our insider, Ken Rosenthal. Ken, great stuff as always. We appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll be leaning on you in the next couple of days. Thanks.
Thanks, Robert.
All right, Harold, I want to start with you. What do you make of this agreement, and what was your sense of the things Ken had to say?
Well, I thought Ken really made a great point. There wasn't a whole lot of leverage here for either side to negotiate. Obviously, the commissioner holds most of the power because of what the government has elected with calling what this is going on around the country. So that gave the commissioner of baseball a lot of power. The one thing that stood out to me, though, was the draft. And I've talked about this a few times. Those amateur players, look, if the draft goes to 5 rounds, which is a very strong possibility, and it usually goes 40 rounds, you're looking at 35 rounds, 30 teams, less. So you're looking at over 1,000 players that will not get drafted. That is going to be interesting moving forward, what happens with those thousands of players. And a lot of times there is some great talent that comes after round 5. You look at Goldschmidt, Albert Pujols, just guys off the top of my head that were long after round 5. So we're losing a lot of talent in that talent pool. And I don't know how they're going to address it moving forward to get those guys an opportunity. So there's a lot of youngsters out there right now in college and high school trying to figure out, where do I fall? Am I in possibly the first 5 rounds? Now, they do have the option, I'll throw it to you with this, Dan, to extend it past 5 rounds. So we may see it go 25, 30 rounds or 20 rounds even. But to get the work done to study everybody right now really puts this whole thing in a tailspin. Dan, I'll throw it to you.
It does, Harold. 2 things stick out to me. That would be college juniors right now that have kind of rolled the dice thinking that this was going to be their year to get into the draft. And another thing that Ken touched on, an expanded schedule into October and a likely possibility of doubleheaders. I mean, in a perfect baseball season, players are against playing doubleheaders. They're stressful on a roster. I'm sure there's going to be some roster increases to help that. But my feeling is, Harold, I think that the players, for the most part, want to be able to play whatever kind of season they can salvage. They would be playing to open doubleheaders. And I think whatever they can do, if that means going deep into October, a neutral site World Series, I think the players realize that to get this season in is more important to worry about the perfect scenario to try to fit it in.
Yeah. Well, I think fans would love to see more doubleheaders. I can't even imagine playoff games being played at a neutral site in November or maybe even December, but those are very real possibilities. All right, we're going to take a quick time out here on this special edition of MLB Tonight presented by Camping World. When we come back, we're going to be joined by the Todd father, Todd Frazier. He's going to be playing with a new team this season, but he, like most of us, stuck at home. We'll check in with Todd Frazier when we come back.
MLB Tonight is presented by Camping World, making RVing fun and easy since 1966. Visit campingworld.com today.
Welcome back to MLB Tonight, presented by Camping World. Here's a recent Instagram post from veteran third baseman Todd Frazier, trying to bring positive vibes every day during this pandemic. Stay strong, stay positive, everyone. And let's bring in the now Rangers third baseman Todd Frazier, who joins us now. With Harold Reynolds and Dan Plesac, I'm Robert Flores. Todd, this is Robert. How are you?
Good. How you doing, man?
We're doing great. More importantly, how are you doing? How are you handling all this?
Yeah, just taking it day by day. There's not much more you can do. I got 3 kids. Right now, they're both upstairs playing Candyland, which I beat them in the other night. So I'd like to give a little shout out to myself there. They're trying to figure out ways to beat me in Candyland, but my wife just made a nice lunch, and I got people working on in the backyard. Still, we got some stuff going on in the backyard. So, but I'm staying inside, man. Everybody's staying inside and focused on what they can do, and that's basically it. Trying to be positive, I guess.
Hey, Todd, at some point, we're going to play baseball, and I'm curious. I know your brothers and yourself have a big complex out there in Toms River. I don't even know if you're down close that way, but what are you doing baseball-wise to kind of stay ready for when that bell does ring?
Yeah, we have a little workout facility downstairs. My wife actually uses, so I'm actually taking over her spot for the time being. I work every other day trying to get a little workout in. It works out perfect. I've hit a couple times at an area where we know nobody will be. Me and my brother Charlie, we wear gloves, we wear everything. Every ball we use, nobody touches it with their bare hands. We have everything all set up, and I talk to him I tell him to throw it from second base if you have to. It don't matter, so I can get a couple swings in. But just every once in a while, every 3 or 4 days, if the weather's good. We had 65-degree weather the other day. It was perfect to get outside. But if I see one person, I'm running for the hills. So that's basically what we're doing.
Hey, Todd, I was in your neck of the woods right around Christmas. Went to an Indiana-Rutgers basketball game at the Rack. That place rocks.
Oh, it's unbelievable, man. This is it. This is the Rutgers hat right here, baby. So I got it on right now. That's funny that you bring that up. People don't know the Rack is crazy. It's unbelievable, and we're starting to be better and better. Steve Peichel, the head coach of Rutgers, is unbelievable, and we just got a 5-star recruit from Roselle Catholic who's going to be 7'2", I think he is. So here comes the Scarlet Knights, baby. Back at it. Let's go.
Hey, Todd, I realize you were only with your new teammates there with the Rangers for just a few short weeks before things got shut down. But what sense did you have of your new ball club and what you guys might be able to do in 2020?
Yeah, we got a good group, man. Starting with Shin-Soo Choo and Elvis Andrews running the show, basically. When I came in there, he was basically the only player I've played with, in the major leagues, and he called me the American jokester on the team. So I'm the guy that Elvis is the other guy for the Spanish guys, and he called me the jokester. He's all good people. Woody, our manager, Chris Woodward, is unbelievable. And I can keep going on down the line. These guys are very smart with what they want to do, their techniques about winning and hitting and pitching. And we had a really good core going for those first 3 weeks, and I think this is only going to bind us together. We talk every other day, and we try and focus on the task at hand, and I think we had a good thing going.
Well, Todd, we appreciate the time. We want to extend our best wishes to you and your family, and you guys stay safe, okay?
You guys have a good one.
All right, that's Rangers third baseman Todd Frazier. We're going to take a quick time out here on MLB Tonight. And speaking of the Rangers, Joey Gallo has a pretty sweet setup at his crib. He's trying to stay sharp, but if you don't have Joey Gallo's setup, what can you do? Harold Reynolds has some suggestions for you.
Home Plate Cam is presented by NTT.
It's MLB Tonight presented by Camping World. Here's a look at Rangers slugger Joey Gallo getting some cuts in at his apartment. Not sure what his neighbors think, but what about you? What can you do, or your young player? Harold Reynolds has some ideas.
All right, thanks, Robert. Joey Gallo has a pretty sweet setup, by the way. Being able to hit the ball with bat control like that in that little bitty cage in the apartment and not hitting it to the left and breaking that glass out there, impressive stuff. But I started thinking, how do you keep from breaking your furniture up at home? Now, the youngest of 8 kids, I can always hear my mom yelling at us, "Don't you break my furniture!" Because we had baseballs, wiffle balls, tennis balls, you name it. So you know what we did? Take the baseball, throw it out. You take the tennis ball, throw it out, because you can still break some things with that. And believe it or not, you hit the ball hard enough, you can break something with the wiffle ball too. So you throw all those things out. If you have a baseball player or a softball player in your household, and they keep saying, "How can I get more swings?" I got an answer for you. Reach back into that little sock box and take the socks and make this your object to hit. What? Yes, socks. All you do is you take them, you roll them up into a nice ball, and this becomes the object to hit. Because as any hitter will know, it's all about tracking the ball or the object coming to you. Track it, see it, hit it. Track it, see it, hit it. You can get 100 swings or so just hitting a sock. So to show you, I got Sophia, my oldest here. So come on, Sophie, she's a softball player. And I'm gonna flip some balls to her. All right, here's my sock, flip to her, boom. Not breaking anything, even though how hard she hits the ball, not breaking anything. That was a double sock there. Boom. Hey, you're gonna break my furniture, quit doing that. But nothing's breaking. All right, one more, so we'll end it with this. Boom, well, I should have quit when I was ahead. I threw one in a sinker on you. All right, nice job, baby girl. Hey, that's all you gotta do though. Take the sock and use it as something that you can hit. Ball it up, track it, and hit it. That's it from here, Robert. Back to you. Nice job, Soph.
Harold, great stuff. Over the weekend, there were players competing on a diamond, just in a totally different way. We've got details on that when MLB Tonight rolls on. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Players Tournament.
It's me and Amir Garrett, and then Blake and Hunter are going to play right after us. Hey, Max, I'm going to be honest. It's really hard to time your windup, bro. Oh, Yelich. Didn't even think about that. Oh, he just took me deep. No!
Yelich ranks, dude.
Oh, my heart. Yeah, I just give up another one. Jump, Buck! I'm getting destroyed! He's going to bring himself in. Here he comes. So let's put all the righties in. Oh, it's so gross!
I'm nervous. Steve! Punchy season. Oh, baby. That was straight up. Is that gone? Ray Tank? Oh, I almost had Ray Tank. Frankie, I love you.
The championship game, Amir Garrett against Blake Snell.
All right, Freddie Free. No. Bro, Freddie Freeman is a god. He's a god. That's 3 for 3 with 3 absolute jacks. And it's like, what?
Oh, yeah!
What a banger. What an absolute, just
Here, bring in the dog!
You're pinch hitting for Freddie. Yeah.
What we got?
Blake, this is too bold.
NT, let's took it to the house! Let's get it!
Oh my God.
Blake!
Bro, there's
One of us had to take him down. What are we doing?
Playing against Trevor and Blake, for sure, like those guys are like some hardcore gamers. A win's a win, I'll take it. I'm the champion. I'm happy.
That was over the weekend as Reds reliever Amir Garrett is the winner of the first Players Tournament, and Dan Plesac, a current member of the broadcasting booth in MLB The Show, and Harold Reynolds, you're a former broadcast member of MLB The Show, so both you guys know this game very well.
Yeah,
He
you know
pinch
what?
hit for Freddie Freeman after he had 3 homers. Come on.
I'm thinking, you can't pinch hit for Freddie Freeman. Rest his head on a pillow made of concrete.
Well, unfortunately, that little cut is not in the game, but it was cool to hear Amir try to apply some of the real life knowledge that he uses out on the field, and how he tries to apply it during the video game. So that was definitely fun to see. Hey, we asked the people, Dan and Harold, give us your best walk-offs, okay? And this is what you voted, and this is what we're showing on the network. We're calling it Walk-Off Wednesday. It starts in the morning, 10 a.m. with the Yankees and the Mariners, and we'll wrap it up with the Astros and the White Sox from the 2005 World Series. Hey, for everyone behind the scenes, thank you for getting this together. MLB Tonight, Stay at Home edition. For Dan and Harold, I'm Robert. Thanks for watching.